Oh, thank you. What is Sunday? What's the occasion? Mother's Day. I think that when Chris booked the program this week, he was a little confused because the program this week is not about Mother's Day, it's about Father's Day. And our speaker today is Greg Brungardt. He is the Fatherhood Program Coordinator and runs a Strong Dads program through OSU. He has a history as an educator. He is a backpacker extraordinaire that's going to go walk one of the long trails, but his real passion is kids and dads. And so please welcome Greg coming to speak with us about the Fatherhood Program and Strong Dads.
Thanks, man. All right, how's everybody doing? I don't know if I can be as fun as the trivia, but I'll do my best. By the way, my son was born on November 2nd. He's an amazing young man, so you're set. Thank you for the introduction. My goal here today really is just to sort of bring to light this program that's relatively new in Payne County called Strong Dads, explain a little bit about it, hopefully entice you to maybe do what you can to help spread the word and all of that. We already have some connections with quite a few people in town. I know we've talked with our Daily Bread quite a bit, worked with Payne County Youth Services and United Way, and there's a lot already going on with the program, but let me just kind of go back and start at the beginning. We're all aware there's been a breakdown of the family going on for a long time. We're probably lucky to live in an area where the breakdown of the family is minimal compared to a lot of places in the country. But nonetheless, we have dads who are missing from their families or addicted or incarcerated or all sorts of issues, right? We also have issue with even our families that are intact. We have an issue kind of in our country of dads being marginalized a bit nowadays sometimes. We're looked at as being the provider of the family, and hopefully we are doing that job, but we're a lot more than that. We can be a lot more than that. And dads a lot of times are overlooked and thought of as really just the providers. But we know that we can be nurturers too. We know we provide a lot of value in the family. We know that we are role models for our kids. If all we do is go get a paycheck every day, then how are our daughters learning what kind of man to marry, right? How are our sons learning what kind of man to be when they get married? And on and on and on. So what happened, well, before I do that, let me just take a little quick side. So about 5 years ago, I left the corporate world and I got my alternative placement certification. I became a middle school math and science teacher. And the only reason, the only reason that I say that is because one day, the last year that I was teaching, I was having a conversation with one of the counselors in my school, and it really wasn't a very lighthearted conversation. In fact, I was kind of letting off some steam about a handful of students that I'd been dealing with. And what came out of that conversation was me saying at the end and him saying back, we're trying to fix all these problems with our kids, and if you look at the main problems, almost all of these kids that have these various issues don't have a dad that's doing his job. He might not be present, or he might be present and have a problem or something like that, right? And I kind of said, why are we not providing help for our dads? That's where we need to fix this problem. All these problems. Anyway, fast forward a bit. I was a school teacher. I had my summers off, went on a backpacking trip, and I'm about halfway through the trip, and I get an email from someone who said, this thing just came across, and I just thought of you. I wondered if you might be interested in taking a year off teaching or something and doing this fatherhood program thing. And I just, kind of went, wow. It's amazing how life works sometimes and how the plan is laid out for you, So I thought about it for about 4 seconds, and then I came back, and that's what I've been doing. And it was a no-brainer because, all of a sudden I get to be at the root of the solution for a lot of these problems that we see with our kids and with our families. So somebody that agreed was our current governor and his administration, and he's been trying to put together a plan to improve fatherhood in the state. I don't know if you've heard about that or not. It's been publicized a bit, but not very much, really. We just had the second annual Oklahoma Fatherhood Summit in Tulsa, maybe a month or two ago. I can't remember. I'm bad with time like that, but it was incredible. We had so many people there and so many different things going on. One of the things was the Strong Dads program. And so, what happened was they determined they wanted to do something. Oklahoma Human Services put together this whole plan. The whole Strong Dads program is funded by OHS. And Oklahoma State University, whatever the word is, submitted for a contract with OHS to operate this program in 9 different counties, and they got the contract, and so that's what we're doing. I want to tell you a little more of the details of the program, and then I'll be happy to answer questions. I'll try not to go into too much detail, but if you want to know more, I'm happy to talk more about it. So the goal, like the tagline sort of for the program, is strengthen the bond between dads and their kids, right? The father-child connection. It means a lot of different things. But we are trying to help educate dads. We're trying to help build confidence in dads. Not just dads that have problems, right? Not just incarcerated dads or homeless dads, but all of us. I just talked to a guy this morning. He came to my office on campus. We sat down to do kind of a makeup because he missed one of the meetings. And he happens to be an international student from Bangladesh. He was trying to become a citizen here. And, we had this whole discussion. He's a wonderful dad already. But we have this whole discussion about how valuable this program is for dads who think they're great dads too, right? It's for everybody. We've had grandpas there who aren't even, they don't have any kids at home and haven't forever. But they're there to kind of maybe learn, refresh some of the things, because now maybe they're going to have grandchildren. They're there to provide information to some of our other attendees who maybe need a little bit more help. So it's a super program for everybody. If you were interested in actually participating in the program, which is one of the things that I'm here to push to you, right? I would love for you to help us build this, to spread the word. I would love for you to partner with us if you're interested. I would love for you to call up and say, I have an idea for a partner. Have you ever talked to this person? That happens quite often, and I'll go, yeah, I talked to them several times, and they weren't very interested, and they haven't gotten back with me. And then whoever I'm speaking to right there at that moment says, give me a day. And then the next day, all of a sudden, we have an in now with this new, with this organization that I've been kind of trying to get into. So, but I would really love it if you would come and actually participate in the program as well. So what it is, it's a 12-week program. It's kind of ongoing, so, we're in the middle of a program right now, not really in the middle. We graduate 12 out of the 13 guys that registered for it next Wednesday at First United Methodist Church. We do these all over in different places from time to time. We've done the Greenhouse Learning Center and at the library, and we've talked about doing one at our Daily Bread, and I'm not sure if we'll work that out or not, but, we're just trying everything we can to kind of see where we can make the biggest inroads. So then we'll start another one in June, and that'll run for 12 weeks, and then we'll start another one. We also do it in Spanish. I do not do it in Spanish. But Laura Ruiz, who is my partner in crime, and she's awesome, does it in Spanish. We are doing them at the Cimarron Correctional Facility in Cushing now. Did the very first one, what time is it? 2 hours ago. In Spanish. I was not there. Laura did it. So, we're just everywhere we can manage to try to impact dads. For a lot of people that are interested in the program, they maybe have a hard time making it there for various reasons. OHS provides incentives for people who need them. So I won't go into too much detail, but there are meals provided every time you come. There are gas cards provided for people that need them. There's surveys that we ask for sometimes, and they're provided Walmart cards for those. So, there's a lot of assistance for people that need the assistance. If there's somebody in Yale, I spoke with Nancy in Yale the other day, and she said she had a person or two that might be interested, but they weren't sure they could really make it here and so we'll provide some gas money, and we could even provide an Uber card for them or something like that so they could Uber here for it, whatever we need to do. The topics, just to give you sort of an idea, this is not a class as such. It's not come in and Greg, who knows everything about being a father, is just going to tell you how to do it the right way. No, not at all, right? Because first of all, nobody knows everything about being a father. It's tough, right? And so there is a curriculum. This is based on a curriculum that's been created by the National Fatherhood Initiative, which you can look it up if you care to. It's a big thing. They provide this curriculum across the country. The meetings are really me facilitating a group of people through discussions. Mostly, we're learning from each other. I'm asking the right questions. People are sharing things. And we're going like, that's a great idea. Why did I not think about that? Let me write that down, And we're just talking. We're talking about lots of different things. We're talking one week about communication. We're talking another week about children's growth. We're talking another week about discipline, about how to work with mom, if you're married or not married, right? We're talking about all these types of things to help raise fathers' self-awareness so that they can begin to take some steps towards being better and building a stronger connection between them and their child. So, kind of in just closing, what I'm really hoping for, I'll just repeat this, is that you guys would just help us to get the word out. We don't have marketing money and things like that. Everything that we're doing is based on just partnerships that we're creating with the community. So if you want to find us, about the only place to really see us visibly is on Facebook. If you go look for Strong Dads Payne County, it'll come right up and you'll see some information there. We put graduating pictures of guys up, and we put general information about when the next session's coming and some general fathering advice or funny little things we find or whatever. It's very basic, but it's a way you can find us and see what's going on. We do occasionally have flyers and things out. There is a website called strongdads.okstate.edu that you can go to. It has some general information. If people wanted to actually register for a class, they can go right there and do that. And they can put in whatever county they're in, and it'll go to that appropriate county. And so if it was Payne County, I would get a hold of you. If it was Oklahoma County, someone else would contact you. What I'd love to do is anybody that's interested, talk to you afterwards, give you a business card, let you know what's going on and who else you might want to contact. I could also give you Laura's number, and she, even though she's the English or the Spanish coordinator, she could certainly talk to you about the English program and everything. So I think that's really all I have. If you guys have any questions, I would love to answer them. Yes?
2 questions.
Sure.
First, do you address the issue of being on your phone all the time, even if your kids are all around? And secondly,
As a parent being on their phone
and it
all the
can
time?
be mom or dad,
Yeah.
or grandma or grandma. And the other one is, do you have mentors for some of the men?
It's a great question. So, the thing as far as the being on the phones, so we, yes, that comes up almost every time we have a session like this. But the program really isn't set up to be like, hey, everybody, thanks for coming this week. Here's the checklist of things you should and shouldn't do, right? And so nowhere in the curriculum will you see anything related to phones. But if we're talking about being present, we're talking about communicating, we're talking about connecting and all that, that and 18 million more things come up, and it always comes up. That always comes up about being, and really, even larger than the phone thing, seems to be video games. And we end up with a whole ton of dads at the end of this thing going, you know what, I'm hardly playing any video games by week 12. Like, I'm coming home with a purpose and I'm spending time with my kids. You're like, heck yeah, Part of the coordinator's role is to be a mentor. And we actually, for people who need it, we're not forcing everyone to do this, but we actually have contact through the week with them. We'll either call them or we'll meet with them in places or whatever if they need to, if they need to work through issues that they're having. They might be related directly to our curriculum, or it might be, hey, I'm trying to find a job or I'm trying to find a place to live or something like that. So there's that. And then what we have just barely begun to do, because we're pretty new, is try to get some of our graduated dads to come and address the program and potentially be mentors in that fashion. So, but I would also say there's a lot more that could be done along those lines.
So we tried to host this program several months ago, and nobody signed up.
Right.
But lots of people that we work with, myself included, honestly, look at a 12-week commitment and just go, I can't commit to that. And I'm sure there's a ton of science and research based why they split the classes like they did and made it 12 weeks. But in my mind, some of this is better than none of this. Yeah. And I know that we work with some parenting classes through Sunbeam and some different things that have shortened to a 2-hour. And I know that it's not ideal and it's not everything you want to cover, but it would at least be an introductory. Do you think that there will ever be a time that we could just offer like that hybrid intro class? And it might be a hook into someone wanting more, but I just can't get people to commit to 12 weeks.
Yeah. So I can't give you an easy answer to that. I can explain a little bit, which is there's actually another program in the state called True Dads, which is a 7-week program. I don't know exactly where it comes from and exactly what curriculum they're using. It's certainly possible. It is one of the very first things that came up when all of us coordinators across Oklahoma got together and met with the powers that be, and we said, you can immediately see this is going to be an issue. To try to get, plus you're telling these guys like, hey, you really need to be more connected with your family. How about, 2 hours every week for 12 weeks, you disappear, And so it is tough. It is tough. I will also say, I don't know what we would cut out of it. There's so much valuable stuff in this. But in order for the guys to be considered as actually completing the program, they have to complete 9 out of the 12. So that's one thing. I know 9 weeks is still a super long time. But, I do sometimes tell guys that if that's an issue for them. I'm like, you know what? This can be really a 9-week program for you if you'd like. I mean, if you need to miss. And as coordinators, part of our job is to help the guys do makeups if they need to. So like the session I'm in now, most of the guys are coming all the time. I have one guy who's made it to like 4. And then he's made up like another 6. And he's going to miss 2. Well, he's not getting quite the same value out of it, but he's getting something, like you said, right? Anything else?
Got one more?
Yeah.
So question around, there's programs for moms specifically that have, incarcerated backgrounds, justice involved, and as far as going through programs to then be able to get custody of their kids. And do you see, I'm not aware of any program like that for men. Do you have any insights to that? Is that something that this program eventually evolves into? I'm just curious your thoughts.
Yeah, well, so in other states, I love that question. In some other states where they've been using this National Fatherhood Initiative curriculum, it's not called Strong Dads or whatever, but just, however they're choosing to do it. Some places have been doing this for years. I mean, the National Fatherhood Initiative has been around for like 25 years. So there are states where this exact curriculum is part of their court system. And their court system will, for whatever it might be. It might be, hey, you're going to get released from prison, and here are the steps you need to go through to be able to get out, and here are the steps you need to be able to get to have access to your children, et cetera, and here's one of the steps is this program. Now, and I could go on and on about that, but I think that makes the point. But here in the state, we are just beginning to. In fact, I just had, with this cohort that I have right now, with this group that I have right now, I have one guy who was referred by DHS, and his person there said, if you want to take the next step in being able to have unsupervised visits with your daughter, then this is what you need to do. And there weren't options. It was go do this program with this guy in this county. And so we're getting there. I've talked with a couple of local attorneys about, nothing formal, but about them just recommending it as something that might help. And so, we're just starting to make some inroads in that area. I know, for instance, in Creek County, they did actually speak to a couple of judges about this very thing. One of the judges said, Absolutely. I'm going to start telling every single dad that wants to see his kids that he needs to do this. So there you go, you know. So baby steps. But yeah, I hope. The plan is, you know, the state's looking at these results and seeing what happens. And the whole goal is, if it works well, then they'll continue it and they'll do more and they'll figure out what's not working and what is working, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully this is going to be, you know, something much bigger where it can turn into something like that, where there are just scores of people running this, or, you know, however it ends up working. Great. You guys good? All right.